a 7-time champion, is suiting up to race again. A Formula One driver is about to make his NASCAR debut, and for the first time in the sport's history, stock cars are going to turn laps on an active U.S. military installation. Oh, and TNT just completely rebuilt its broadcast team to cover all of it. This isn't just a race weekend. This is NASCAR betting its biggest chips on one of the most unconventional events it has ever staged, and it is happening in less than 2 weeks. Let's run it down fast. Naval Base Coronado in San Diego, California is hosting NASCAR for the very first time. All 3 national series on a brand new street circuit called the Qualcomm Circuit. 111 cars across the Cup, O'Reilly Auto Parts, and Craftsman Truck Series are entered. The headliners, Kevin Magnussen, former Formula One driver, makes his Cup Series debut in Trackhouse Racing's Project 91 entry. Jimmie Johnson, 7-time Cup champion, returns to Truck Series competition for the first time since 2008, while also entered in the Cup field. And veteran fan favorites Jamie McMurray and Brendan Gannon are both lacing up the helmet again in the Truck Series. On the broadcast side, TNT is overhauling its In-Season Challenge studio show. Jimmie Johnson joins as an analyst for 3 of the 5 tournament races. Marty Smith, nearly 2 decades at ESPN, takes over as the primary host. The booth crew of Dale Earnhardt Jr., Steve Ledarte, and Adam Alexander returns unchanged. Marty Smith, host; from ESPN, Jimmie Johnson, studio analyst; 3 races, Dale Earnhardt Jr., booth plus studio analyst; Steve Ledarte, booth analyst; Jamie McMurray, studio analyst; Jeff Burton, analyst. 2 races, Adam Alexander, play-by-play; booth Shannon Spake Pitt; road start with the race itself. NASCAR staging a weekend on an active military base is not a small thing. This is the sport planting a flag, literally, on federal government property in one of the most media-saturated cities in the country. San Diego sits next to a massive military community, a huge Latino fan base that NASCAR has aggressively tried to reach, and a media market that barely touches the sport on a normal weekend. The Qualcomm Circuit is brand new. Nobody has data on it. Nobody has tire wear information, no setup history, no setup sheets from previous years. That alone reshapes the competitive order. Teams that can adapt fastest in practice win on streets, not just teams with the biggest budgets. Now layer in the broadcast story. Last year's first ever TNT In-Season Challenge ended with a 52% viewership climb by the time it reached Indianapolis. The network saw something work, and now it's pressing the advantage. Bringing Jimmie Johnson into the analyst chair is a direct response to that momentum. He's not just a famous face. He's the most decorated driver of the modern era, and he's doing it while actively still competing at the same event. That is a genuinely unusual dynamic in sports broadcasting. The addition of Marty Smith ties into the broader ESPN TNT partnership that's been reshaping sports rights deals since 2024. Smith is an institutional NASCAR voice. He's been in those garages, on those pit roads, covering the sport since 2007. Having him anchor the show gives TNT a credibility layer that Shannon Spake, for all her talent, couldn't provide as a solo host. Here's the real conversation. NASCAR is running 2 massive experiments at the same time, and the outcome of both has implications that go well beyond one race weekend. The first experiment is the venue itself. Street courses have been a complicated story for NASCAR. The Chicago street race in its debut year was chaotic, interesting, but raw. The broadcast team, by their own admission, underestimated it. A military base adds a completely different layer: security logistics. Restricted access, limited fan sight lines, unique surface conditions. All of it is uncharted territory for race promoters, broadcast crews, and teams alike. The second experiment is the roster that showed up to compete. Kevin Magnussen's debut matters because of what it signals. Formula One drivers crossing over into NASCAR isn't new. Shane Van Gisbergen proved it could work spectacularly. But Magnussen brings a European fan base, a different set of F1 followers who might tune in specifically to watch him navigate an American stock car. That is incremental audience growth NASCAR cannot afford to ignore. And then there's Jimmie Johnson doing double duty, racing in the Cup entry and the truck race while simultaneously serving as a TNT analyst for other weekends in the tournament. That kind of multi-role presence is either a brilliant storytelling asset or a scheduling headache waiting to happen. The man is 49 years old, still competitive enough to enter NASCAR's top series and articulate enough to hold down an analyst chair. If TNT uses that contradiction correctly, it becomes must-watch television. The risk in all of this is overload. Too many storylines can dilute coverage. If the broadcast is chasing Magnussen, Johnson, McMurray, the venue, the military angle, and the in-season challenge tournament simultaneously, something gets shortchanged. The booth combination of Earnhardt, Letarte, and Alexander struggled to keep up at Chicago last year. A new street circuit, bigger than that event in terms of narrative weight, is going to test them again. Hardcore NASCAR fans are going to be watching Magnussen with arms crossed. This is a community that takes its sport seriously, and Formula One crossovers, no matter how accomplished the driver, still carry an asterisk until the first green flag drops. He'll need to show pace immediately, not just survival laps. Johnson's dual role, racer and analyst, is going to generate real debate. Some fans will see it as diminishing the competitive integrity of his race entry. Others will view it as a legendary driver giving back to the sport in real time. Both reactions are completely valid, and that tension is exactly what makes good television. Broadcast watchers, and there is a very vocal community of them in NASCAR, will scrutinize the Marty Smith move closely. Pulling a recognizable ESPN voice into the TNT ecosystem, even on a side arrangement, is a significant shakeup. The reaction will depend almost entirely on execution. San Diego delivers one of the most compelling weekends of the 2026 season. The street circuit produces unpredictable racing. Magnussen turns heads in his Cup debut. Johnson wins or runs up front in the truck race. And the expanded TNT broadcast team finally finds the rhythm they couldn't lock down in year one. Viewership climbs past last year's tournament numbers. NASCAR's West Coast expansion looks like a stroke of genius. The venue creates more logistical problems than excitement. The new circuit produces a processional race with limited passing. Magnussen struggles with the learning curve and falls off the radar by lap 20. The broadcast gets stretched thin trying to cover every story at once and loses focus. TNT's momentum from year one stalls, and the military base concept becomes a one-and-done experiment rather than a recurring destination. NASCAR is going somewhere it has never been before, literally and figuratively. Naval Base Coronado is a statement. The broadcast overhaul is a statement. A seven-time champion suiting up and sitting in the analyst chair in the same tournament is a statement. Whether all those statements land on the same weekend is the question nobody can answer until the cars actually hit the Qualcomm Circuit. So here's what I'm asking you. Of all the storylines heading into San Diego, Magnussen's NASCAR debut, Johnson's return to the Truck Series, the new broadcast crew, the military base venue, which one are you most locked in on? Which story do you think makes or breaks this weekend? Drop it in the comments. This is one of those rare weekends where the sport is genuinely doing something new, and the conversation should match that energy. If you want every development covered as it happens, make sure you're subscribed. This weekend is going to move fast.